Hey, welcome to my channel. Tonight gets creative. I'm Danette. Here we are with another one of my Whimsical Wonders. Another house, fairy house, in my series. So if you're watching this video and you haven't seen my first one, there is a first one called Ladybug Lair that kind of explains the whole series that I'm about to create. So this is number 2. And for this one, I wanted to create a petally kind of look for the roof. So as you'll see here in a minute after I cut out this pattern, I'm going to make the same shape I did the last time, which is a cone, but then I'm going to decorate the roof differently. And if you notice here, I've just been making my patterns out of paper and then trying to fit them best together with paper, and then when they work, I'm saving those and tracing them again onto fabric. And if you notice that pattern that I created was just out of a piece of advertisement from a magazine. So there we go, felted cone, sew up the seam. Here's where the petals are going to come in. So I have 3 shades right now of felt. They're a little bit of a stiffer felt, and I'm going to use these 3 shades to create petals from. So I'm just sketching out a petal, much like a raindrop, teardrop. I'm just showing you the measurement there just in case you're curious. And I'm just going to cut them out, and I'm going to cut out several of each of the 3 shades. And then I'm going to layer them, much like shingles on a house. I'm just using one of those heat soluble pens. So any black lines left at the end, I'll be able to just use my heat source and get rid of them. Pardon me. You'll see here that I am taking the lightest petals and I'm just lining them up and pinning them, putting half of the petal off of the cone, and then the other half of the petal is going to be stitched to the actual cone or the roof. This is a very time-consuming part of the project. Sewing each petal, pinning each layer. So this one is definitely going to use a lot of your time if you're going to follow along and create one. But the finished product is amazing. I really liked it. So just going to continue to pin all of these petals on, and I'll keep flipping back to each layer so you can see how I do each layer. But again, it's quite a long task, this one. I do end up stitching it with just sewing machine cotton. I end up putting little X's just to hold on the petals. So I'll let you continue to watch this, and I'll just pause my voiceover, and I'll come back in when it's time to build the actual house. So again, tedious process, but well worth it. The final outcome is quite lovely. All finished. Just adding a little stuffing. I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to work on the bottom. Even though it took a long time, it sure turned out really cute. And I'm glad I took the time to create it. So here we are. As someone saw before in my last video, they commented how they liked to see my drawing journal, my sketch. So I thought I'd show you again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the body of the house. And I just used this, upside down. I just used note paper that was lying around to create, again, the size that I wanted. So I just created it out of paper and kept trimming it until it actually fit. So I'm going to just give this a trim and we'll get started. And what I do is I start with, like I always do, let me do the bottoms here, my bad. I'm tracing 2 felt bottoms as well. One for the top and one for the bottom. Same process as the last time. Kind of like made a cylinder and then place the roof on top, just like the last ladybug one. So what you'll see here in a moment is I'm going to start with the door, as I always do, and then create embellishments on the house itself. So I'm going to save those 2 circles for later. And for this one, I ended up using felt for the whole thing. I didn't end up using any fabric. I just felt that using felt was the best plan for this house. So I'm just trying to figure out what color door to create. I end up choosing gray. Gray seems to be one of my go-tos. 2 shades of gray. I just wanted to create that shadow behind it, so I create the door shape with a light gray. And then I just back it on the dark gray just to create that little hint of shadow around it. Trusty little glue stick here. Stick it down, and I only temporarily stick it down because I end up actually stitching details on the door, so I know that the glue stick is just a temporary fix. So there we go. There's my door trim. And now I'm just going to use some dark embroidery thread and create the stitching on the door and create the details on the door. So just give it a quick little temporary stick down. Just searching for my, not purple, that's for later maybe. Searching for my dark embroidery thread because I have a whole pile on the left side of me there that needs to be tidied up and put away. I'm sure I'm not the only one with a messy desk space. I think we just get into the creative zone and the last thing on our mind is to tidy up. So I don't know if you're like me or not, but I get through a project and then I do a tidy. Sometimes I get lost in a couple of projects and then I do a tidy. So it depends on how messy my workspace gets. So here we are. I'm just going to go around the outside with these simple little stitches, and then I create a pattern on the door. I decided to do something different. Normally I just leave it outlined, or I add a window, or I add what it looks like wooden planks, but for this one I actually did a different pattern. I did an X. I thought it looked a little unique, and I also added a bead for the door handle. So what I'm doing now is I found these cool purple beads at a thrift store. So I can't tell you what kind of beads they are other than I think they're glass because they are quite heavy. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the door with these beads. And of course I got my thread knotted in there. There we go. I end up putting a few stitches in each bead just to hold them flat because they are quite a big bead. So I put 2 or 3 stitches in each bead just to flatten them down. So in addition to the roof, this was actually quite a lengthy process too, putting down all these beads and putting a few stitches in each just to keep them lined up and flat. So I'll do a couple here to show you, and then I'll come back when they're almost finished. Hope you're all doing well. Hope I'm inspiring some of you to create your own fairy houses. I'm enjoying it. I've got lots of ideas in my head, so we'll see how many I actually put out for videos. So here we are, I'm just on my last one. Actually, my last two maybe. Just created a sparkly little extra for this particular fairy house. Always trying to use different techniques so that I can hopefully help you work through your stash like I'm working through my stash by using all these things. So what I'm doing now is I just want to add a little bit of color, a little bit of detail to the background of this particular house without adding a ton of stuff to the house. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing little bricks in clusters of 2, clusters of 3. Again, with that heat soluble pen, so if I don't like something, I can go in and hit it with some heat and it'll go away. So just drawing down these bricks in no particular order. Nope, I decided not to put one down there, and I can erase that later with the heat because I end up thinking through the process of adding some flowers down below there. So I chose pink and I chose a blue, and I'm going to use embroidery floss, 3 strands, and I'm going to outline each of the bricks, and I'm going to try to create the bricks in pink and blue tones. So I'm just doing a back stitch or a split stitch, stem stitch. I'm not really sure. I'm not familiar with my stitch names, but I'm filling in the lines with either blue or pink embroidery. So I'll just stitch down this blue one. And then I'll follow that up with the pink one. There we go. There's the blue one. And then I'll come back in with the pink one. So I'm going to pause my voiceover right here, and I'm going to come back with you in a moment to explain my next step. And I think at that point, we'll be working on the garden. So sit back, enjoy. Here we are, just using some green embroidery floss, and I'm just creating um, long and short stitches. And the long and short stitches are meant to be grass and stem. So I'm going to go across the bottom on the right side of the door and the left side of the door, creating just random bits of green. And then I'm going to come back in with some more embroidery floss, and I'm going to create yellow flowers. And in those yellow flowers, I'm going to create French knots of a very dark pinkish red. I'm going to do that on both sides. And then I'm ready to attach the two sides together and build the house. So I'm just going to do daisy stitches to create the flower with this yellow, and again French knots shortly after that. And then when the flowers are all finished, I'm going to put the house together. So similar to any of the other processes of how I've done the house, I'll sew the back seam, sew on the top and bottom, and I will attach the roof. So stick around to the end. You will see some finished photographs of the fairy house. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Check back in a couple of weeks and I should hope to have another fairy house out there for you. Please feel free to leave me any comments and suggestions. I love reading them. And I hope again that I'm inspiring you all to pick up your thread and needle and create some fun projects of your own. So thanks for watching. I appreciate the time you're taking. Take care. Bye.